Hello, welcome everybody to Red Meat for Dinner. Here we got some red meat that we're gonna end up prepping for dinner. So what this is a whole New York strip loin, or a strip loin. If you guys know New York strip, this is exactly what you would get it from. Nice thing, I bought this in the whole loin. It's already been deboned and everything. So this is actually a super simple way to potentially save a little bit of money on your steaks if you like to eat steak. Being that I only do carnivore, I eat a lot of steak, I eat a lot of red meat. I actually got this. Normally it would cost $15.99 a pound for the New York strips. I got this for $9.99 a pound, and this whole thing weighs, let's see, it's about 14.8 pounds. So this thing just cost me just under 150 bucks for this whole thing. This is actually more than I would normally spend. I typically don't like to spend this much on steak. For example, the ribeyes that I just got recently over Christmas and New Year's, I got those for $3.97 a pound. I normally like to stock up over the holidays. I'll get 60 to 80 pounds sometimes of meat. Just to really stock up the freezer. But this isn't a terrible deal. It's definitely better than paying, $15.99 or even sometimes they're up to $20 a pound for New York. So I really like strip steaks. I really like ribeyes as well. So it's a great time to get good deals around the holidays, even around Valentine's Day. They often do a lot of different sales as well. So this is going to be a pretty quick video probably. I'm just going to show you how I like to cut my steaks. A couple things you can do with this little fat here at the end that some people may or may not want on their steaks, and sometimes I'll actually show you what I like to use or do with it. But yeah, so let's kind of just get right into how I like to prep this. If you buy a strip loin and you take the package off, this is exactly what it's going to look like. I haven't done anything else besides take the plastic that's in it, that the grocery store gets sent them. So let's prep this real quick, and we'll get to it. All right, so a couple things you can do. It might be kind of hard to see on the actual loin, but if you look right here, you can see there's this separation between the muscle here and this fat end. And there's a little bit of meat in this whole fat, and it kind of runs through this whole strip. And at the other side, you can see it's kind of tapered off. It's a bit thinner over on this side, and you can see this is the meat, and then you got this big fat. This is a kind of a big fat cap. This whole kind of backside is, but it really kind of thickens up through here. How I like to typically do things though is I actually like to cut this off my steaks, and I save this whole fat chunk and I use it to make beef tallow out of. First, what we're gonna do, we're gonna square up the edges so it's nice and even to work with. Right here we have a little bit of a taper, so we're just gonna square this edge up. All right, so we got a little thin kind of steak here. It's not quite the same size all the way through, but that's fine. We got a nice square edge. I saved these. These are what I normally eat for like lunchtime and stuff, so we'll put that on there. And then I like to square up the other side as well. Probably should have deburred my knife first, but we're gonna work with it. All right, so ends are nice and squared. So now what I normally would do is kind of from here, you just judge the thickness of your steak. I like really thick steaks. Usually I try to make my steaks over a pound. So a lot of times I'll do like, sometimes even up to 4 fingers, but normally a little bit over 3.5. So something like that looks good for me. Maybe even a little bit bigger. All right, so nice thick steak here, nice thick boy. You can see it's about 3 fingers wide. But yeah, so you can see there's this cap, right? There's this cap here. There's a big solid chunk of fat in there. What I like to do is I like to take that off so I can render it down and get all of that fat to make tallow, because I eat a lot of tallow. And tallow is delicious. It's super good to cook with and just, eat, melt down. It's very versatile, and it's full of vitamins and minerals and nutrients. Fat chunk, here we are. So I should have brought a bowl. We'll just save them on this paper towel for now. Now we have our beautiful New York, right? Our strip steak here. We took that nice big fat chunk off. See, it's actually got some pretty good marbling in it. This is a choice grade, for what it's worth, whatever. Some people are into that, some people don't care. Select doesn't bother me any. But yeah, so we got one steak. Now we're just gonna keep cutting this down, and I'm gonna keep removing that end bit here. And then later on, when we go to make fat, or when we go to make beef tallow, I'll do a video on that, and we'll end up grinding this fat down to make it a lot easier to render. But that'll be for another day. Now, if you see how this is pretty thick here, if you want, you can trim some of that off. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll save chunks like this, and then when I cook, I'll just throw a chunk of this in the pan, and it'll just slowly render down as I cook. All right, so we got a little bit left here. We'll kind of break it down into 3 chunks. We'll go there, and we'll go like something like that, yeah. All right, and now since we've already squared up that one edge, this one's pretty simple. We can just cut it straight in half. And something like this where the fat cap isn't fully defined yet, this is where we start to get to that end, and even on this one, there's really not. I'm not gonna cut anything off of that. I'm just gonna cut a little bit of this fat so it's not like so insanely thick, while trying to leave it still somewhat like even so it will cook evenly in the pan. Just to trim that up a little bit. And again, none of this is going to waste. I will eat all of this fat in some way, shape, or form. All right, so that's a decent looking steak. So again, we're gonna get 6 steaks out of this, plus the 2 ends and the fat caps. You might be thinking, all right, well, 6 steaks for like 150 bucks, that's pretty expensive. And well, that's true, but you gotta keep in mind, I'm cutting these steaks extremely thick because this for me is like my whole meal in a day, plus a small amount of other stuff, but not a lot. And so this is pretty much all I eat. So it's not actually too bad of a deal. Nutrition-wise, it's actually pretty cheap because you're getting a ton of nutrition for, you know, $9, $9.99 a pound, whatever. Most of this is all fat. I might go through this before I render it down and, you know, take some of this muscle meat out. If I really wanted to be picky, I could clean this up a little bit more, you know, through there. And then we have our 2 end pieces. These make great lunches. Throw them on the skillet for a few minutes each side, salt them up, and then we have our Big Daddy steaks here. This one's probably the smallest out of the bunch, but some of these are 1.5 pounds or more, and yeah, it's perfect. Super simple. You can do a lot with these. I'm gonna go vacuum seal these and freeze them for another time because I'm still working through some ribeyes. But normally what I would do is I would salt the whole thing, put them on a wire rack, like one of these cookie rack things, in the fridge for 24 hours, 48 hours, let them kind of dry brine, and then sear them up in some tallow in its own fat and some ghee. So thanks again for joining, guys. If you have any suggestions on videos we should do, please let me know in the comments below. Hope you are having a fantastic day, and we'll talk soon. Peace, love, cheers. Bye.